What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And today we are speaking the language of bromance. And Shawn, how you feeling today, buddy? You've had a trying couple days.
I have, but you know what? I feel excellent. You know why I feel excellent, Richard?
Tell me,
because
please.
You and I are about a month behind this release, but we are going to talk about a brand new movie that just came out. The third of a movie, the trilogy, the final movie of this trilogy.
Well, I mean, is it? We don't know. Maybe they'll
we
make
don't know for
another
sure.
one.
They might. They should, I think.
You think so?
Yeah. I could go for another one.
We'll see.
Well, Richard, we are going to talk about the newly released digitally Bill and Ted's Face the Music.
Okay, so we may be a month behind, but I feel I think this is good because I do think that it's I think that we can speak on about the movie, of course, but also about how putting a new movie out solely digitally, given the trying times we're in, how putting a movie out digitally fares in the world, and what maybe a studio or a company could do to make it better, and actually make it a thing that we might because we might see more of it.
We saw the success with Onward.
Yes.
Scoob saw some really good good returns. So now it's kind of like, okay, this is more of a teen adult kind of movie. Like, how well is this going to do? I don't know the specific numbers on how
and then
well
you
it's
have
done.
you take a movie like Mulan, where they're like, you put it out and it's out and you can watch it on Disney Plus and it's $30.
Yeah.
And people are like, $30, and some people are like, $30.
I mean, it's cheaper than taking the family to a movie, but like Bill and Ted to own was like $24, I think.
It was something like that. And then I think it was, I watched it on Amazon. It was $20 to rent for 48 hours.
Are you a renter in those situations, or do you drop the extra $4 to buy?
I think it was more to buy. It was more than 24. I actually don't remember how much it was off the top of my head.
Because I thought I spent like 24 to buy it.
Yeah, I did rent it. I remember I did rent it. Oh no, you're right. It was 25 to buy, 20 to rent for 48 hours.
Which, I mean, so my father-in-law and I, we go to movies quite a bit. This would have been a movie we probably would have seen. And so typically how we do it, I would buy the tickets or the food.
Uh-huh.
Like, one of us buys tickets, one of us buys the snacks.
Yeah.
And usually either way, we come out to about $20, $21 each time. So for about $2 or $3 extra dollars, I get to keep this movie and I get to watch it again if I want.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will. Maybe I will, but it is one of those things, at least in my back pocket, I have Bill and Ted's Face the Music.
Well, see, and that was kind of my thing. It was this, question of, am I going to watch this like ever again? Or is it one of those things where is it one of those like impulse buys that like, cause I've done that where I'll look at like my Amazon video library or something like that. And I'm like, why did I spend? Usually happens. The last thing I can remember happening with was Doctor Who, not the last season, but the season before. There was no place I could watch it, like no place I could watch it at all. So I ended up buying the episodes off Amazon. So I bought and I didn't even buy the whole season. So I bought 10 episodes or something like that. And it was like $20. No, it was like 20. It was like 25, maybe $30.
Yeah, I just bought the Batman season 1 from year 66, the Batman 66, because my son loves it. We watched one. He absolutely loved it. And so I was like, well, why don't we just buy this whole thing? It's like $26.
Yeah.
I think it's like 20-ish episodes, though. But still, that's kind of like my last purchase on there where it's like, maybe that wasn't the best use of money.
Yeah. Yeah, see, and that's my like. I didn't want it to be this thing that I like find in the like see in my video library that I immediately regret. Although I will say this, I go through my DVDs and I pull out DVDs and I'm like, why do I have American Pie School Reunion? What the fuck do I own this for?
I don't know about you, but like during that like 04 to 08 range, like DVD was kind of like the dick measuring. It's like, well, how many DVDs do you have? I have 562.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, how many times have you watched them? 0. I just got to own it.
And now you see people like trying to sell DVD collections. They're just like, I don't care. I'll give you $10. Just come take this pile of fucking bullshit that I have in my house.
Yeah.
I ended up, I took all my DVDs and put them inside little sleeves and then put the sleeves inside a case and then threw all the cases out.
Oh, that's a good idea. That would save a lot of room because those cases take up a shit ton of room.
Oh my God.
We had a yard sale and I dropped a bunch of them in there, like for like $1 a piece. Took a bunch to the lake because at the lake we don't have cable or anything, so it's kind of like a rainy day thing. And the rest I just threw away.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't want it to be like I didn't want my Amazon video library to look like a $5 bargain bin.
So, like, how do you feel about the release on this? Like we talk about, like when we go to see movies, it's a lot about the experience. Which
right.
I don't think there'd be like a big Bill and Ted experience with this. But how do you feel? This was a pretty like excited movie when it came out. Like everybody's like, "Oh my God, they're gonna make a trilogy with Keanu Reeves and that other guy."
Well, also like this movie was on Kickstarter. Like this movie was kickstarted.
Oh, was it really?
I'm pretty sure it was. Like people put money into this to get it made. I'm pretty sure this was a crowdfunded, or at least partially crowdfunded movie. But I'm not 100% on it. I mean, I'm sure you or somebody will check for me. And
yeah, just like looking through Wiki, it didn't say, but that doesn't mean it wasn't.
But oh my God, I totally forgot what we were talking about. My whole train of thought just derailed.
Oh, just that this was a movie that a lot of people got pumped for when they heard about it.
Oh,
and I think it would have done pretty well at the box office too.
I think it would have done moderately well. Oh, I remember I was going to ask you, did you watch the other two before you saw this?
I did not. I have seen the second one about a year and a half ago where I've kind of bounced in and out of it.
Uh-huh.
Second one's actually kind of scary. Like when they go to hell, like there's some freaky parts in it. But the first one, I've seen both.
You're so funny.
Well, I think
he's painted white. Eek!
Well, no, there's a part where like they're in this like almost horror house. They're getting chased by like these little demon things. It's creepy.
Yeah.
But no, I did not go back to watch the original two. But I have seen them like in the last 5 or 8 years.
Okay. I actually did watch the other two.
Okay.
And I would say that I do feel like this fits. It definitely fits in the 3. Even though we're talking like what 20 years between,
at least, yeah,
20 years between 2 and 3, it does feel like if you watch all 3 back to back to back, I mean, I would say that, I mean, obviously, you know, the film looks cleaner, but I mean, story wise, it works. Story wise, it fits together pretty well.
The same writers, I think, did all 3 of them.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that.
But it's so kind of going into the plot of it a little bit. You know, they were kind of selling, like when I first heard about the idea, it's like, okay, you have these 2 middle-aged guys, like late middle age.
Yes.
Who were told at a young age that you guys are going to write a song that unites the world.
Yep.
And, you know, after the first, actually, I think after the second one, it's just kind of a, like, you just think like, okay, it happened, right? Like, you don't really need to see how it happened. It happened.
Well, it's funny. Like I feel like, you know, it kind of got the feeling that like the end of the second one was supposed to be like that was supposed to be like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and so they kind of like touch on it a little bit in this one where they're like, oh, you know, that time at the end of the second movie, yeah, that really wasn't it. You're still supposed to do the thing.
But I mean, How many people, like, it feels like, if you were watching that when you were, 15, 16 at that time, like, there's a lot of people who probably feel that way at this point in their life.
Yes.
It's like you're middle-aged, you're in your late 40s, early 50s, and you're like, what the fuck have I accomplished in my life?
Oh, Shawn, you're singing the song of my people.
Oh, I know, and we're only in our early 30s. Well, some of us are.
Hey! Hey!
I'm about to cross that bridge.
Hey!
But I mean, it seems like you get to that point, and like it just seemed very fitting that this would be the story, because I think a lot of people could relate to it. It's like, you get to this point in your life, and you think you're supposed to write the song that unites the world, and you haven't done it yet, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great idea, and it played differently than I thought it would. Not that I didn't like it, but it was
a fairly predictable. I mean, if you're just looking at the movie, I mean, the plot feels somewhat predictable. Like, but when you're about, like, I'd say with probably like an hour to go, you kind of see where the movie's going.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a twist at the end, tiny bit from what I was kind of expecting. Once I kind of figured, like, oh, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
Like, it's a little bit of a twist, but nothing too crazy. But I guess kind of just jumping into it. So you get two different plot lines, I think, starting out. Like you have the story of Bill and Ted trying to write their song.
Yes.
They're kind of failed musicians. And I kind of got a little bit of, like, the first thing I really thought of is, like, I could see this being us at that age.
Oh, don't do that. Why did you do that?
Well, we don't
Shawn,
have
that could be us now. Think about that.
No. We've got 20 years of this.
You telling me George Carlin's going to show up in a phone booth and be like, come with me. And then we're going to travel to way back into the year 2019. And then be like, somebody's going to be like, who are you guys? And be like, we do a podcast. And then they're going to go, what's a podcast? And they're like, shit.
You two will unite the world.
We traveled back to 2019 to avoid this question. We didn't travel very far, so we could avoid this question.
But, it's, you get to where, I always get them mixed up. Bill is Alex's character, right? And
correct.
Keanu seems like Bill to me. I don't know why.
I don't know, but I think we've kind of talked about a little bit before we started recording, and I think that you've done this at least twice.
Yeah, I feel like I have dyslexia when it comes to Bill and Ted.
Yes. I think you've said those exact words, actually.
So, Ted, who's Keanu Reeves.
Right?
He gets to the point where he's like, he's going to sell his guitar. It seems like, it's what's kind of funny from the second one, because after the second one, they're like these huge, massive rock stars, right?
Uh-huh.
And it seems like now they've kind of like fallen off the radar a little bit. They're suburban living with their, princess wives, but they're living next door to each other. They have to go through wedding or marriage counseling.
Yes.
Which was pretty funny because
with their princess wives.
Yeah. And I love too, like, there's a little bit of it where it almost feels like they're questioning themselves if they've actually done the things they've done.
What do you mean?
Like, if they've actually gone back in time. Like, it felt like in the very beginning,
if they're wondering if they're just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, did we really play with Death? Was Death really like in our band?
No, like, I never got that feeling. I never got the feeling that they thought they were like, that they just dreamt all this shit up.
Well, during the counseling, I got that feel a little bit. It was more from the counselor kind of being like, oh, okay, like, yeah, you travel through time. And like, I was not expecting the stuff to show up like it did. Like, maybe play on that a little bit. But seeing them, so something's bad's going to happen. It's going to be the collapse of everything.
Yep.
They get to go to the future.
The universe is folding in on itself, Shawn.
Yes. And they have till 7/17 to write the song that will unite the actually, at this point, unite everything.
Yes. Unite time, space, and time.
So they show up. It looks a lot prettier than the ones in the past. It looks kind of like what we consider a futuristic world to be in 2020 compared to 1991.
Because nobody's like mad and everybody's like they're just hanging out, and the sky is blue and not orange. And
so I guess the big kind of first thing, and you had mentioned that George Carlin, they put him in this movie.
Yes.
I was expecting a little bit more heartstring pulling than I got.
You know what? Even though it was just a little blip, it did kind of tug on my heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah, I think if I didn't know he was in there, it would have for sure. But no, like I was expecting a little bit more, like maybe a message to the guys or something, not kind of a pre-recorded like, oh, hello, and this is what we use to go back in time to meet the chosen ones.
I liked it. I
did like it.
I liked it because I felt like it was like a subtle tip of the hat, and it didn't overdo it, and it's not, you know, and like they didn't take. It wasn't like a CG Rufus that they fucking de-aged and, you know.
Yeah. Well, I did like the touch that you kind of almost had Bill and Ted like acknowledging that. And I don't think they were just acknowledging it as Bill and Ted, but also as Alex and Keanu.
Yes. It felt like a subtle nod without being without coming off as tacky. Or even, because I mean, you could totally do that wrong. Like, imagine if you stick some actor in there and try to make him look like George Carlin.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Right? Like,
I would.
It's one of those things that, like, there's a way to do it right, but there's 50 ways to do it wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
And I felt like they threaded that needle.
The only thing I think would have been kind of cool, which they did with his daughter a little bit, and maybe they could have put a little bit more emphasis on this, but like how much he believed in the boys kind of thing, like how much he believed in the guys. And maybe like she might, like his daughter could have maybe leaned into that a little bit more, or maybe like he could have had some kind of like pre-recorded message for the guys.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, like a totally bad way would be for them to go like back in time where he's still alive. Like I'm glad they didn't do anything like that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's one of the, like, there's a way to do it right, and there's 50 ways to fuck it up.
It could definitely take away from the movie too.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you feel about that generic plot point though? So they have 717 and they really kicked into it quick, which I like because everybody knew the plot from the trailers, right? They're going to go back and steal the song from themselves.
Yes.
And so they agree to that pretty quick and they jump into that. How do you feel about that as a plot point for this movie?
I like the fact that the movie doesn't like fuss around with its story. Like they understand what the story is, and so they don't fluff it up with like, you know, they don't fluff it up with a lot of other things.
Agreed. I feel like this is a movie though that you don't see this too much. Like you see a big like main plot and then you've got side plots, but with this I really felt like there was two main plots in this movie.
With this I feel like, yes, I agree. However, I feel like they knew. I feel like they had a clear sense of what they wanted to do, and they did it in this. By I guess what I'm saying is that with a movie like this, I feel like it's easy to kind of like pull references from the other two and stick them in to kind of dress up the story.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And they didn't do that, which I liked because I'm not going to say like, I'm sure for some, this is probably their first Bill and Ted movie.
Which this could be the only one you see, I think.
It could.
In my opinion.
I agree. It could. It very well. The movie could easily stand on its own. But I guess what I'm saying is that they understood what their story was and that, you know, there wasn't a need to like put a bunch of frills around it. They understood, you know, that, hey, we have your attention for, you know, 90 minutes. Or I think the runtime was closer to 2 hours, but let's say $1.45. You know, we have your attention for $1.45. Like, we're not going to waste it with a bunch of things that you might care about. Like, we're not going to throw darts at your nostalgia dartboard. You know, we're going to do we're doing our thing, and that's it.
Because even so, like the part that I liked is because it was a running gag through the first two was their stepmom. I can't remember what her name is.
Oh God, I don't remember.
I don't remember, but basically, like she married one of married Bill's dad, then married Ted's dad, and then married Death, and now she's marrying Ted's brother.
Yeah.
Which that made me laugh pretty hard. So that was kind of like the only like real nostalgia thing, but it kind of kicks right into it. One of the things I thought was kind of interesting, talking about the two plot points, you really see, I don't know if it's kind of a reverse of what you might think of like, how like, whenever you think of the cliche of this is how this type of group thinks, but you had the adults in this movie looking for kind of the easy way out, looking towards the future, where you had the kids and the youth kind of looking to the past and trying to learn and pull from the past.
I totally didn't get that, but you're absolutely right.
Because like a lot of times I think, a lot of times youth and things like that's like, well, it's going to be so much better in the future. I mean, I thought that way when I was a kid, but the two daughters were very much like, Bill and Ted both taught them very well with music, really kind of showed them, historical figures that were like, I mean, they go out and they get Jimi Hendrix, they get Louis Armstrong, they get Wolfgang, they get like some big, like not like what you would think for like right now kind of artist. And even in their discussions with Bill and Ted, they're talking about all these more historical and kind of like just trying to pull from the past. And I didn't really, I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know if that was a specific choice that it was made to make some bigger theoretical thing from it.
I don't know. I will say though, especially like people that really dig, that are like really dig music, I feel like that's how they think. It's, like I've done this sometimes, is like think of your favorite artist, think of your absolute favorite artist, and then, figure out what musical influences, like what influenced that person to become a music artist, and then go listen to that stuff.
So like what percentage of kids do you think, I say kids, like what percentage of, their age, like 20 to 17-year-olds would be like, oh my gosh, we got to get the ultimate band together. Let's go get Louis Armstrong.
I don't know.
Not because I love like Louis Armstrong. Like I love his voice. Like it's very unique. I love a dude that can, or a chick that can play a trumpet or like a saxophone. Like you don't see that enough.
Why'd you say you love a dude and then you said you love a chick?
Because I love anybody.
Oh, you love, and okay, you're just saying you like somebody that can play.
Yeah, I'm not saying like only dudes can play instruments. Like anybody that can play a more traditional type instrument. Yeah, I always just have mad respect for it.
Gotcha.
I played the saxophone in high school.
I did for 1 year.
Oh man, it's just, and I like. I'm not gonna say like I have a Spotify list of classical music. But hearing those things, I feel like I get intimidated trying to listen to that stuff because it's very much kind of like, I don't think I get all the nuances enough. Like it's like looking at a great painting.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. It's like
I can look at like
you feel like you're too stupid to really get it.
Kinda, yeah.
I think that in that respect, I think that you're selling yourself short. I feel, because some music is just what it is, and some music does have a deeper meaning, and some have a meaning some music has, older music has meaning that you understand. Some music has meaning that you're supposed to understand, and some music has meaning that you're not supposed to understand. And I also feel that some music has meaning that the artist doesn't care if you understand.
Yeah. Well, there's probably parts of that too that you just can't understand.
Because you don't have context.
You don't have the right experiences. You don't have a ton of different things to be like, oh, well, I totally get what they're trying to do here.
Because I will say this, especially when it comes to music, if you learn I feel like if you learn like the historical context of a song and or album, and by that I mean like if you find out like where an album is written, what a person was going through when they created it, like struggle wise or whatever, when you learn that stuff, even if you don't like the music right off the get, if you learn 2 or 3 things about a song, about the context of a song or the artist when they were creating the song, you can go back and listen to it and like it.
You know, when I was younger, I kind of tried to figure a lot of that out because it was almost like a puzzle. Like I was trying to Scooby-Doo the song to be like, well, this is what I think they meant.
Uh-huh.
The problem is if you get what the actual artist is like, oh, well, I was doing this, I meant to do this. It takes away I'm going to say ownership of it, even though you don't own it, but it takes away your version of that song.
No, I can see what you're saying.
Because I always think with art, it's very much like what you see from it. So like you look at a painting and like, oh, well, I tried to paint, the solar system. You're like,
you see trees and they're like, oh, I was trying to paint the stars.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You're like, what happened? The trees just went away. Fuck.
Yeah. Because art, I think, is just a personal reflection of kind of what you think and interpret it.
I get what I see what you're saying. I guess I was talking about, like, let's say you look at a piece of art and you're like, this looks fucking terrible. And then the artist walks by and is like, well, the reason I did this is because of X, Y, and Z. And if you can see, this is supposed to mean this. Then you look at it again and you go, oh, okay. Well, yeah. That makes sense.
If you're an asshole, you're like, oh, okay, I see it. Still sucks. Nerd. Push him down.
Somebody's been looking at our reviews.
Oh, it's sad because it's true.
Because I argue with them and I'm like, no, what we meant was, and then they're like, oh, well, it's still fucking terrible.
Yeah. And then you have to be like, Tiffany, don't say that to Shawn. You'll crush him.
Stop it.
And stop calling me about it. I don't care.
I'm going to fight with you. I don't even know why you're doing this.
But yeah, I like the 2 different plot points. And I think, it's definitely something that... So when this movie was doing that, I could have very easily seen it go too much one way or too much the other way. So this movie, they could have easily been like, hey, yeah, this is Bill and Ted's Face the Music, but we're only following their kids. Like, Bill and Ted are kind of the back end. Or it could have been the reverse of that.
Okay,
where it's like,
so balance-wise, you felt like it was equitable?
I do. I do wish I got a little bit more of the kids interacting with the artists.
Yes, I was going to say the exact same thing.
But the runtime on this, I think, is like 90. It says 91 minutes. It felt like it was longer than that. But I do feel that if they tried to go too far the other way, this could have been closer to a 2-hour movie.
Well, I think that, yes, I agree. I think that if you went too far the other way, the people were going to be like, hey, I thought this movie was supposed to be called Bill and Ted. Where the fuck are Bill and Ted?
Agreed. It's like they just show up and it's like you see them in the beginning, they die, and then the 2 kids are the ones that take off on the story.
And then you're like, what the fuck happened to Bill and Ted?
How did you feel about the 2 they casted for Bill and Ted's daughters?
I liked them.
I did too. Of the acting, they felt the most Bill and Ted to me.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about their acting let's talk about the acting in general for a second. Now, Bill and Ted, like, they're, the point of the 2 of them is they're supposed to come across like, kind of dopey, kind of stoners, right?
Yeah.
Even though you never see them like, drink or smoke or anything, but that's the way they're supposed to come across, right?
They're kind of aloof, just kind of.
Well, and like they have that Valley Boy, like they have that Valley Boy accent,
that youthful ignorance. It's kind of like talking to my kid, like, it's just no cares, no fears in this world.
Okay, so. And in the first 2 movies, Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, like, they fit into these roles like puzzle pieces. They just click in, and they have good chemistry with each other, and they're good. Like, they're good together. However, I will say that, in terms of like their acting level, it's hard. I feel like it's hard to convey being slightly dopey and making it believable.
I feel like Alex did a good job. Like, I felt like he felt like an older Bill.
Yes.
Keanu, I kind of felt like it was John Wick trying to act like dead.
Yes. That's what that was going to be like my big fucking point with this movie. My big point of contention with this movie.
Well,
okay.
I don't know.
And here's why I think that. Okay. Like you look at when Bill and Ted came out, you know, you're talking like 80, I think it was like 88, 87, or maybe it might be it was 89, I think, when Bill and Ted came out. Okay. At the time, Keanu didn't have, he wasn't in a lot of movies. And so I feel like his acting level, wasn't at a pitch because it's early in his career. People grow, people expand as they move forward in life. That's what we all do. I feel like Keanu Reeves' success hurt him when it came to coming back to this role.
I agree.
I think that, after doing as many movies as he's done, and some of them not so great, but some of them like really well, I feel like he found his pitch, and it's almost like, let's say you get a job, I don't know, mopping a floor, and then you do that okay, and you get promoted to where you're, sitting in an office telling other people where to mop floors. And then after like 20 years, you're now sitting in a much bigger office directing a bunch of people how to mop floors. And then all of a sudden, somebody runs into the office and says, "We need you to mop a floor." And then you come out and then you're like, "Fuck, how do I do this again?"
Yeah, this doesn't look like the mop I used 20 years ago.
Yeah.
No, that's a good analogy. Because he kind of feels like he's trying to find the voice. He's trying to figure it out. But it's just, like you said, he hasn't done it for so long.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that, like, I feel like this is an example of, like, he's moved on. He's moved on past this. And, like, everybody's giving Keanu Reeves shit about his acting ability for years. I've done it. I've done it on numerous occasions. I've talked mad shit about Keanu Reeves and his acting ability. But I will say this, going and doing Bill and Ted, you can definitely see that when you think about it, he's gotten better. He's gotten worlds better. And going and seeing him try to almost deconstruct all that and get back to where he was, so that way he can lock into this role, was hard for him.
Well, and you have to think too, I don't know what the shooting schedule is for this, but I'm guessing he's probably in between
John Wick's.
Exactly, yeah. And so they're like, "Hey, we're going to shoot this in 3 weeks." Like a 3-week shoot.
And he's like, "Okay, well, so I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do The Matrix in a week, and then John Wick 3 weeks after that."
Yeah. What movie of his was it that you kind of like started churning on him?
That's a good question.
Because I thought there was some movie where, like, after I watched this, like, I completely think he's like.
It might have been. I don't think it was Wick. It was definitely. I want to say it's earlier than Wick.
Was it the mailbox from the
No, it wasn't. Fucking goddamn! What was that movie? Was it like the Lake House or something like that?
Where he was like communicating.
So they were putting fucking mail in the mail, like the mail would travel through time or some fucking crazy stupid shit like that.
Sandra Bullock or something like that was like the person in it. Movie makes me cry every time. I watch that every Valentine's Day. I watch that. And I write a letter to my future wife and I say, "You better listen to my podcast."
Yeah, I definitely want to say it was older than John Wick when I was like, "Hey, this guy's not bad." I mean, Speed. I thought he was all right in Speed. You remember Speed, where they're on the bus? That
vaguely. I don't know if I've actually sat down and watched that.
It was okay in Speed. Knock Knock. You remember him in Knock Knock?
Oh, that was the one about the threesome, right?
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched that because you told me about that. You're like, yeah, this will ruin every fantasy you've ever had.
Constantine. I think Constantine was probably where I turned for me.
That makes sense. He was good in Constantine.
Yes. I thought he did really well for Constantine. Oh shit. He was in a movie called The Replacements. That was another one that I liked him in.
Oh, that was pretty good. The football one.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think I just like the fact that John Madden was in that movie.
Yeah. That was a good movie. I remember my mom went to see, I think, Bridges over Madison County. And my dad, my sister, and I, we went to see The Replacements.
But yeah, I would say probably Constantine was where it finally was, where I was like, okay, you know, like I've given this guy a lot of shit over the years, but like this dude's okay.
Yeah. So with them bouncing through time, how did you feel about that? You get with them meeting the two that are playing like the local bingo night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get, what was the next one? Was it the prison version?
Yes. No, it was they so they start at the bingo night thing, and then they travel to them where they're apparently successful.
Yeah, they're at the mansion.
Yeah.
That they think is theirs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
did we put a spoiler tag in front of this?
I mean, we will. I mean, we've been talking about it enough.
So they go to a house that they think is theirs, and then the other Bill and Ted give them the song, or what they think is the song, and then they find out it's not Bill and Ted's house.
Who is it, Richard?
It's Dave Grohl's house.
Yeah, he just shows up.
I did. Oh, I beamed. I was like, fucking Dave Grohl. There he is.
He's only in it for a second, too. He's not in it for very long.
No. I was like, there he is. There's my guy.
I did like so they're in that mansion, they're trying to get away, and they're like, well, I mean, we know everything we would do. Well, what are we going to do?
Did you notice that you didn't see Dave Grohl and Keanu Reeves in the same shot?
Yeah, I did notice. I don't think either one of them were in the same shot.
Well, yeah, because I think that if they were photographed together on camera, the internet would simply just fall apart. The internet would just break in twain. The entire internet. I'm not everything.
I'm gonna go to Barbie.com.
You can't. Why? And because they just show you this picture.
Yep. Keanu.
Yeah.
And Dave Grohl.
Look, they're in a picture together. And then the internet just fucking falls apart.
That's a good point. I'm pretty sure neither one of those guys exists. They're just one person.
No, what I'm saying is that they exist, but it's like matter and antimatter.
I gotcha.
Like you can't put them together. You can't have them in the same space. They can't occupy the same space because they will annihilate each other and then destroy the fucking universe.
Oh God, what if that is the case?
I'm saying
it's like Highlander.
So what I'm saying is that this movie nearly caused the apocalypse.
It saved us from the apocalypse and it almost caused it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. Can't have Dave Grohl and Keanu Reeves in the same space.
Yeah. And so after that point, the next one they go to is when they're in prison, which I felt like that kind of like went pretty quick.
Yes.
They kind of get there and then the robot shows up, what about that robot, Richard? Did you like him?
I wasn't big on the robot.
Oh, I dug him once he went to hell.
Yeah.
Because he reminded me just of like that annoying person that just wants to be like super helpful and wants to be involved in everything, even though they're not very good or they're just annoying.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing it maliciously. It's just like, yeah, I can dance.
I'm not mean. I'm just bad.
But the whole like him trying to kill himself was a little dark.
A little bit.
I killed your kids. I'm sorry. I can't take this. No, you kill us. So let's talk a little bit about Death. They get to hell.
Yep.
And they go and meet Death, who apparently the band broke up over Death trying to copyright Wild Stallions.
Yep.
How'd you feel about that interaction? And don't fudge with me. Don't you fudge me.
After everything, that one, honestly, like I felt like that was kind of shoehorned.
Yeah.
That, like, I guess just plot wise, like that felt a little forced.
I thought that Death would play a bigger part in the movie.
I mean, I was fine with the part he played. I guess it was just the way of it was like, oh yeah, he was in the band, but then he left because he did these weird solos and he thought, and he was, I don't know, dude's fucked up. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, because they kind of built the whole them dying to get to death, right? Like you could almost skip that whole part and make something else happen.
Yeah. But I mean, if you want to talk about like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, like that whole, like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, if you watch that movie, like it, death is the part with the parts with death in it are the parts of the second movie that everybody loves.
No, very true. Yeah.
The reason that they brought him in for this third movie is because everybody loved him in the second movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like if you're talking nostalgia, that was definitely the nostalgia piece.
Yes.
But that's where I was kind of asking, like, the only reason to have them die and go to hell is to bring death into the movie.
Yes.
I mean, you could have still had death. Maybe he didn't go back to hell and the band broke up or, a various number of reasons. But that kind of felt like, yeah, picking at the nostalgia, be like, oh, and guess what? They all died too.
Yeah. But I don't know. I can't think of a better way to do it because if, by the end of the second movie, death's in their band and, they're supposedly live happily ever after. And so like with that in place, you're already like kind of painted into a corner as to like, yes, we want him in the movie, but we don't want him till later. And he needs to be somewhat adversarial.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only like next step for a band, right? Like if a band isn't like continuously successful until the end of time kind of thing, usually they break up. That's just what happens.
Sure.
And it kind of shows like the money going to their head and the stress of trying to create that song that unites the world that they couldn't do. It makes sense.
I guess if it was me, the way I probably would have done it is like maybe Death was like, hey, you guys are supposed to be writing the greatest song in the world, the song that unites everything, and you're not. And you guys are being fucking douches because, so fuck you guys, I'm out.
Yeah. You could have maybe had him
like, you didn't have to have him like, I feel like you could have done that where Death is mad at Bill and Ted, but Bill and Ted aren't necessarily mad at Death. But in this instance, they have Bill and Ted mad at Death. And then the kids have to like broker this peace.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know, like, I felt like that was unnecessary. Like there's a different way you could do it.
Yeah, I mean, what you could have done if you wanted to make it so Bill and Ted still like felt like they needed Death, that you could have had to where Death essentially had to give up being in the band to go back to work in hell.
Yeah.
So basically, like he was like, yeah, I know you want to do this band thing and you think you're going to unite the world, but there's souls you need to reap. So stop your vacation, divorce Bill and Ted's stepmom, and come back here and work.
Yeah, I mean,
it was kind of quick. It definitely was the nostalgia feel to it. But it was before they got there. There's a couple parts I think that tugged a little bit, but how'd you feel about when they met old Bill and Ted? Like, so sitting there thinking about, like, could you imagine on your deathbed or close to your deathbed, a younger version of you coming to see you?
I'd be like, listen, your best friend is going to tell you he wants to do a podcast.
No, I've already started. I'm over here, asshole. What he's gonna do with the podcast profits. We get profits? No. I don't know where he got the money. But he's gonna put us in an old folks home. And I'm like, hey, this is great. Like, old folks homes are expensive. But what he's gonna say is I have to be in the same goddamn room with him.
He's been talking into a cardboard tube for the last 10 years.
Recording. You did what you do. You start laughing. Like, it gets me every time. It's so fucking funny.
It would. It really would.
But yeah, I think that was it was one of those things where they get to meet. I don't know, like we've talked about it, like when we talked with our moms and stuff, just like getting old and death is something I probably think about way too much, and it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Like, you already process in your head, like, okay, well, my parents are going to be gone at some point. Like, you already almost try to convince yourself that that's not that's okay, but just that that's something that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know when it's going to happen. And so if you could go to some moment knowing like, hey, I'm going to die, but let me talk to my old self or something.
Right.
What would and so thing they
see,
say,
but
like,
then it gets all meta because let's say you go and you talk to your old self, then in the back of your head you're like, well, I know I made it to at least this point.
That's true. Well, that's where you talk about like time and they don't really dive into it too much in this, which I enjoy. But like you said, if you enter time travel in anything, it'll fuck stuff up.
Time travel fucks everything up. I've said it for years.
Because you're like, oh, well, I get here, so obviously I can do whatever I want. Do thump thump. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you're paralyzed. I should have checked my legs. So you get that moment, and then so kind of going into the end of this, the big reveal, spoilers if you're already to this point you don't want to know, but the big reveal is that it's not necessarily Bill and Ted that's going to write the song that unites the world. It's Bill and Ted's children that are going to. And I wasn't like eye roll when that happened. I was kind of like, okay, I kind of saw this coming.
Right.
But the little twist that I enjoyed, it wasn't necessarily that they were going to write a song in 15 minutes. They were just going to kind of orchestrate getting everybody together through the love of their music.
Right.
To unite the world. So and really what you find out too is it's not necessarily a song, but it's everybody coming together that unites the world and unites the universe. And
make you feel good.
It did.
All those good time feels.
And it's one of those things, like, I don't want to dive into too much what's going on in the world today. Everybody knows what that is, but it's a movie like this where you kind of wish that, where something like this could happen, right? And
I'll tell you what, if fucking Keanu Reeves all of a sudden just fucking popped out of nowhere and was like, here, I want you to play this guitar as loud as you can.
It wouldn't be a guitar. You'd be like, here, play this ukulele. You're like, sure.
Fuck yeah. Oh my God. I'd play that ukulele like my fucking soul was on fire. Yeah.
He's like, I'm actually infinite beings right now. It's like, I assumed you already were.
Right?
But
he is a vampire.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Although you do see his age in this one. Like if you look at old Bill and Ted and then this one.
Yeah.
He looks a little aged. He looks a little weathered.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's 600 years old. It's bound to happen.
No, right? It's got to happen at some point.
But I mean, this was definitely a movie with the ending and tying together. I felt was good for what's going on. Like it just,
I feel like considering the way these movies went, yes, that's probably how the movie would. Like, yes, that's how the movie was going to end.
Well, it's what I like too. Obviously, that was written before stuff going on too, and it just seemed fitting for like right now. It's one of those things. If you sat down, and again,
that we should all just unite in song.
Yeah, I mean, unite around something.
I mean, why the fuck not?
Because I mean, that's what. After
what else is going to work?
Yeah, I mean, after I finished it, and you walk away, and you're like, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah,
You turn on Facebook or whatever you look at, and it's not people yelling at each other. It's people just, embracing and loving.
Yeah.
Like I posted that thing. It's like, tell your friend you love them. That's why I tell you I love you all the time.
Yeah,
because I do.
Oh,
and
thanks, buddy.
It's stupid because you do get a little kind of like tear. Like I didn't like cry, but I did get a little kind of teary eyed from it because it's just,
sometimes it's nice to be nice.
Exactly.
It's nice to be nice.
Yeah, and we all need to be nice right now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if everybody watches this movie, that would do it.
Let's hope.
But yeah, I like the ending. I kind of like that it was very much kind of ended on a high note.
Yeah.
And it wasn't super
introduced a practical application of quantum superposition.
Mm-hmm.
Because Keanu, Bill, and Ted were basically everywhere and anywhere at once, at the same time. They were They were infinite places at infinite time points simultaneously.
So were you? Because I mean, I didn't see this being how it would end. I was figuring that there would be a song, right? And then when it was leading down the path, I figured it would be the kids that would write a song, and so like your ending would be this like big song that would play.
Sure.
But with it being that different, did you? Because if I feel like if it was a song, I'd probably have kind of rolled my eyes a little bit and be like, okay, that's what I expected. But it going down this path, do you feel that was a stronger ending, or would you have preferred?
I feel like it was better because, you know, movies that have this kind of MacGuffin, like, oh, we're gonna find the best song.
Yeah,
like
they have the best song. You're like, that's not really the best song.
Well, because they've spent 90 minutes fucking talking this shit up, and so by the time you get to the end, like they could have made fucking you know, made music that would have made you fucking come instantly, and you still would be like, I don't know if that's like the best song ever.
Yeah.
Like it's like the expectation's too high at that point.
Exactly.
So I feel like the only way to do it and not fucking disappoint everybody by having an actual song that, you know, that people would obviously go like, well, I mean, it's okay, but it's not the greatest. A song that should unite fucking time and space.
I'm going to write an angry letter, dear Anastasia.
Right, like
this song would never unite the world.
Right,
you suck. 1-star review.
Like there is not, especially when you go with the MacGuffin, like the song that will fucking save all of space and time.
Yeah.
Like no song's gonna live up to that at all,
especially
for anyone.
Especially when it was like the time was ticking down. Like if they were able to write a song in 10 minutes and play it, I'd been kind of again just like, all right, like yeah, that's your MacGuffin, you did it.
But hey, let's just play a bunch of music and then go with the plot point that it's not about what you're playing. It's the fact that everyone is together and playing together.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay. Like it was a way to kind of like juke or sidestep the whole great song that will unite space and time. So that way you didn't feel like you weren't sitting there going, that song was fucking hot garbage.
I've heard the best song ever, and it was by Tenacious D.
Yeah. No, that was a tribute.
Oh yeah. But it's called. But don't they say this is the best song ever or something?
It's just a tribute, Sean.
Oh, okay.
They clearly state in the song that this is not the greatest song in the world. This is just a tribute.
Oh yes, because they played the greatest song for the. They
played the greatest song for a demon in the middle of the road.
It's clever. Those guys are smart.
They played the first thing that came to their heads, and it just so happened to be the best song in the world. It was the best song in the world.
Oh, man. So what they should have done is they should have brought Tenacious D on at the end, and they played that song. And then we'd be like, you know what?
See, but I'm saying it's not the greatest song in the world. It's just a tribute.
No, they wouldn't play the tribute. They would play the greatest song that the song the tribute's about. But they played that, and I liked at the end that it's just kind of a little like, it's like a little kind of one sentence kind of like, oh, this happened and the world was united and the end.
Yeah.
I was expecting kind of a little but didn't get it. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, I was too.
Now, Richard, I don't know if you did this, but I want to ask you, did you watch all the way to the end of the credits?
I don't remember. Why?
Oh, so you probably wish you would have bought it now.
Why?
You see Keanu's penis. No. He's like, this will unite the world.
Oh, wait, no. At the end of the credits, old Bill and Ted play guitar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Then yes, I did.
So you get one last time of those guys playing.
Yes.
And to me, that was like bromance, like friendship at its best,
fucking
right?
Wild Stallions.
Yeah, like, and that part was, I probably have to watch that too, kind of was like, you get kind of like the whole like world feels of like what could happen to help unite the world. But then it was kind of like, hey, you know what else matters? You and your buddy.
That's right.
And I like
Fucking
the idea.
Wild Stallions.
I thought about this too as I saw that. And I was like, you know what? If I get to be that age and I'm still doing this show with my buddy Richard, like that's a good life to live.
Right?
You know, I want to be like, you want to record one more? It's like, well, we've done 7,668, so we might as well do one more. Well, yeah, and done 69.
Nice.
Are you ready? Recording.
Get your cardboard tube out.
But I want to go back and watch it. I didn't watch it a second time before we did this. I just didn't have the time to. But I think I will go back and watch it again.
I was gonna say this. Like, so what I think what I think that should have happened is you put the movie out, rent for 20. I think what they should have done is, hey, rent this movie for $20 or buy for $30. So 20 and 30. However, you include the other two.
Yeah, if it was $30, I'd buy the other two. I would have spent $30 for it. I mean, I spent 24 for it because there's something about just spending the extra,
or even
$4.
like 35. Let's say 35.
35 is getting a little pricey. So I guess kind of the
for an extra $10, you get two more movies.
Yeah, that's true. Because I guess the way you look at it, I think those were like $9 a piece to buy.
Yeah.
I think I kind of poked around at it.
But like, I think that would have helped. I mean, and like I said, I don't know numbers. I actually don't know how well this movie did with a digital release. But I would say, I do think that if you would have included the first two and said, hey, you have this new one and you have these other two, you can watch all three and like make a fucking Bill and Ted night of it.
Yeah, I don't know if that would go to that's what's going to be weird with this kind of stuff is if you did something like that, how much of those sales would go to Face the Music and how much would go to the first two?
No, I get what you're saying.
Because like they showed box office for this and it's only like $4 million and it was like a $60 or $80 million budget. So us watching this doesn't count towards the box office.
Right.
So I don't know what that means for this industry. I know Scoob did really well. Onward did really well. I've heard Mulan's doing okay, right?
I actually don't know. I've heard that Mulan isn't really worth it.
I've never seen Mulan, and I haven't watched any of the live action
Okay,
ones.
so here's the way it goes when it comes to me in movies. Like I'm gonna, I've got me and my wife and 3 kids. So if you're telling me that I can watch a movie at home for $20, like I'm going to do that, pop popcorn and do whatever and save. I'll in the long run, I'll save myself probably like $60.
Yeah.
However,
I'm on the other end of that where it's just me. And so I get to go to a movie with my father-in-law. So we split the price there. Nobody's talking during the movie. Whereas if I watch it here, my wife doesn't want to watch it. So she's talking the whole time.
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing is, that's the other side of that is, a lot of people are like with Mulan, people are like $30 on top of my Disney Plus subscription. What kind of bullshit is this? I'm like, yeah, but for me, I would do that and save money. If it's just you, yeah, it's probably, maybe you want to figure something else out.
But I don't so it's kind of difficult for me to make my decision yet because 2 of the movies I would have taken my son to. So there would have been a lot more cost there. This one I would have watched by myself.
Yeah, I mean, so far everything that's come out on the digital release, are movies that I wouldn't have, that like all of us wouldn't have gone to.
Yeah.
I mean, we all did watch Onward, but Onward was like they just stuck it in there. They were just like, hey, you've got Disney Plus here, watch Onward. We just put it on there. And you're like, cool.
Yeah, I think I bought it like a week, came out like to buy a week or 2 early. I think I went ahead and got it.
No,
I
they
didn't
just
have
put
Disney
it on
Plus
Disney
yet.
Plus.
No, I got it from
I
Amazon.
gotcha.
Like I actually bought it.
Yeah.
But that was before I had Disney Plus, I think. So I was holding off on that. But I mean, I don't hate this model.
No, I don't either.
Again, I wonder with things like Wonder Woman and
yeah. See, that's the thing is like you look at these bigger movies like Wonder Woman right now so far, like out in theaters, you've seen Tenet. Nolan put Tenet out and was like, well, this is going to bring people back to the theater. It kind of didn't.
It hasn't.
And, like, oh shit. So now like people are starting to panic a little bit. However, I have heard that the next big stab at bringing people back is James Bond.
Yeah.
He's got the new Bond movie and, maybe that'll draw people in.
Yeah, I'm not as nervous about stuff going on, but
you're right. You've got Wonder Woman, Black Widow, like both those movies, Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about Ghostbusters.
Like all three of those movies are just sitting, waiting.
What makes me nervous is I feel like if they go to theaters and they don't do well, you're probably going to see them come to digital a lot quicker.
Yes.
But is that digital release like $20, $25? I'm okay doing like once a month. Are you going to start seeing like $30, $35, $50?
Yeah, and it's like, oh, $30. You're paying $30 one week for Wonder Woman. You're paying $30 next week for Black Widow, and then you're going to pay another $30 the week after that for fucking the third movie we just mentioned,
James Bond.
$30 for James Bond.
And that's a good point. It's like, oh, release like opening week, it's $75. Like, I don't really want to spend $75.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, it's $50. And you got to contend with spoilers and all that kind of crap. And you know what you do if that's the model you build. Maybe we shouldn't be saying this, but if that's the model you build, you start just pushing out your own spoiler articles so people feel like they have to go early.
Well, I mean, $75. Honestly, I mean, it's the internet. I feel like that would kind of take care of itself.
What, Sean?
People putting out spoiler reviews.
Yeah, reviews, but it doesn't like Bill and Ted. I haven't seen a lot of like just clickbait articles.
No, but I mean, let's face it. Like Bill and Ted is not Black Widow.
Yes, but Star Wars and stuff like that. There's been a pretty good run of people.
Yeah,
holding that stuff to the chest. Like podcasts and stuff will release it, but it's like, hey, we're spoiling this.
Yeah.
But the whole like, here's what the movie does in the heading article.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck, could you at least make me click it? But I like the movie. It
wasn't bad. Wasn't terrible. Overall, I mean, if you're gonna out of 5 stars, like I'd say, solid 3.5.
Yeah, that's what I would give it. It's one that's not like it's not going to be on my yearly watch, but when the kid gets to a certain age, or maybe it's a weird weekend, I'll be like, hey, let's do a Bill and Ted trilogy and watch all 3.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
But I do like watching movies from home once I can keep everybody quiet and not talking the whole time. I do enjoy being able to pause the movie to go pee pee.
That is nice.
It is nice. But as we're wrapping up this Bill and Ted Face the Music, Richard, what's some Richard's closing thoughts?
Don't forget that you can't put Dave Grohl and Keanu Reeves in the same space. So let that be a warning for all future filmmakers / photographers. That's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Visit our website. We're at languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at languageofbro. Email us at bros@languageofbromance.com. If you want to take that big, giant step leap into the future for us and help us make the podcast that unites the world, the podcast episode that unites the world, join our Patreon like Wendy and Aaron.
Yes.
All right. Was there anything else before I close her out?
Nope. I'm good.
All right. Well, that's all the Bromance we have for this show. I'm Sean.
And I'm Richard.
And remember, don't be a why.
Be a wild stallion.
Night.